Burlington police have set a press conference for later this morning to name the victim and officers involved in a fatal shooting in a Burlington man's front yard. Police say Wednesday afternoon the two officers responded to a house on Randy Lane for the report of a disturbance. Well, they say the incident began in the front lawn when the middle-aged man was waving a long-handled shovel.
Repeated attempts to verbally de-escalate and convince him to drop the shovel were unsuccessful, and as he continued to wield it, he was shot by a police officer.
The man was taken to the hospital and later died from the gunshot wound to his torso. The incident is now under investigation, and both officers involved have been placed on administrative leave. New efforts to take on Iran's nuclear program could be making some headway. Anne-Marie Green tells us what the deal entails in our World Watch. In just a few hours, Twitter will become a publicly traded entity.
TWTR is its name on the big board at the New York Stock Exchange. It's going to go for $26 a share. This day has been talked about for the last several months. A much anticipated IPO, initial public offering, after the Facebook launch went so very wrong in many ways. As for whether or not you should buy in, investors are pretty much split. About 1 in 3 will tell you it's a pretty good buy, but nearly half say it's no good.
Well, when Facebook launched, the world was watching, and about half of the American population was ready to buy in, but there were some technical glitches, and the stock hit a landslide for about 6 months until the company could prove to Wall Street it could turn a profit. Well, that's something Twitter has yet to do, which is why so many investors are so skeptical about it. Well, the little blue bird has always stood in Big Brother Facebook's shadow, but in the same way, it has had a chance to learn from the mistakes made by Facebook's IPO launch.
But if you're sitting at home today waiting for this stock to launch so you can go and buy up a bunch of it, don't expect to be able to. First off, what's going to happen with this IPO is the initial people involved with Twitter, meaning the founders and then the employees, get the first crack at it, and then those large financial companies then get to gobble up as much stock as they can, and then what's ever left is sort of what's available to the public for this IPO.
So Twitter only has about 200 million users, which is much less than Facebook has, but they're saying, the experts say, that the most important thing is to prove that they can get their advertising to work to the users, and that will be how they can make money.
See if they can do it. And let's also see what's happening in the weather right now, Gary.
State police are expected to release the names of the officers and the victim involved in a fatal shooting in a Burlington man's front yard. Authorities say 2 officers were called to respond on Randy Lane for a report of a disturbance. Well, they say the incident began in the front lawn when the middle-aged man was waving a long-handled shovel.
Repeated attempts to verbally de-escalate and convince him to drop the shovel were unsuccessful, and as he continued to wield it, he was shot by a police officer.
The man was taken to the hospital where he later died from gunshot wounds to his torso. The incident is under investigation, and both of those officers have been placed on administrative leave pending the outcome of the case. The University of Vermont has banned the megabus from stopping on its campus because of drug dealers. The low-cost carrier has been stopping at the school for 2 years, and it's popular with UVM students, but police say the megabus is also popular with drug dealers, and that's not the kind of passengers the university wants on its property. Another Walmart has been approved to set up shop, this one in the Northeast Kingdom. The retail giant plans to build a 150,000 square foot supercenter on the property off of Route 5 in Derby. Environmental groups have opposed this store, saying it will hurt the other area retailers. But under the deal, the groups will drop their opposition in exchange for a pledge from the developer, Jeff Davis, not to pursue any more Walmarts in Vermont for 7 years. Davis and Walmart will also pay $800,000 to develop the region's economy and adapt to want.
And killed a man who refused to put a shovel down. Police were called to a house on Randy Lane for reports of a disturbance. That's when police say the man confronted officers and was shot after he would not put that shovel down. He died later at the hospital. No officers were injured. Vermont State Police have now been asked to investigate the shooting, and the officers have been placed on administrative leave. We should learn the identity of both those officers and the man who was killed later today.
Police in South Burlington spent hours on Wednesday searching for someone or something. Close to 24 state troopers and federal agents could be seen off of Spear Street using sticks to comb through the leaves, but they wouldn't say what they were looking for. State police referred us to the FBI, which had no comment.
Prosecutors are upping the charge against the Burlington man who beat his wife with a baseball bat. Police say James Scarola hit his wife Colleen in the head back in September. She's still recovering from severe injuries. Now prosecutors say new evidence shows premeditation and the true brutality of this attack, so they have filed aggravated attempted murder charges.
The University of Vermont has kicked the megabus off its campus. The low-cost carrier is popular with students making regular stops for the last 2 years right near the Davis Center. But police say that bus travels from major cities like New York and Boston and brings drug dealers with it. The chairman of the Republican Party will not seek a second term. Jack Lindley of Montpelier is recovering from a serious health issue and has told party members his recovery is going well, but he needs to spend his time and energy doing just that. The GOP has scheduled to elect a new leader on Saturday.
Vermont's Catholic bishop is leaving to take the same job in Rochester, New York. Pope Francis appointed Salvatore Matano as the new bishop of Rochester. He leaves Vermont after 8 years in the Diocese of Burlington. No word on a replacement, but a Catholic studies professor says it could take as long as a year for the Pope to appoint a new bishop for Vermont.
Big news in the Northeast Kingdom. A big box store just got the green light to start building. Walmart plans to build a 150,000 square foot supercenter on this property right off of Route 5 in Derby. Environmental groups have opposed this store, but under a new deal, those groups will drop that opposition in exchange for a pledge from the developer to not pursue any more Walmarts in Vermont for 7 years. Davis and Walmart will also pay $800,000.
Why is it smoking?
Maybe we should restart it.
Obamacare by morning.
Why is this taking so long?
Country music stars Brad Paisley and Carrie Underwood got one of the biggest laughs of the night at the CMA Awards, poking fun at healthcare.gov. Now, singer George Strait was named Entertainer of the Year. The 61-year-old is wrapping up what he says is his last tour ever.
He is a great artist. That is
awesome.
pretty awesome. All right, that's a wrap.